Opioid addiction is a real possibility for some of the people who seek pain relief. As a result, some of their medication may end up in the hands of acquaintances or family members who use it for pleasure. Alternatively, a user of prescription opioids may turn to heroin. The brain doesn't know the difference between heroin purchased from a pharmacy and heroin purchased from a street dealer, since heroin is just another opioid substance.
The Prime Minister's formal letter of notification was delivered in Brussels on 29 March 2017. It included withdrawal from the European Atomic Energy Community. The letter recognised that consequences for the UK of leaving the EU included loss of influence over the rules that affect the European economy, and UK companies trading within the EU aligning with rules agreed by institutions of which the UK would no longer be part. It proposed agreeing to 7 principles for the conduct of the withdrawal negotiation.
To execute large-scale scientific applications on distributed resources and in new ways, the grid-based architecture allows for the use of distributed computing resources. Users must first understand how to generate security credentials before they may utilize grid resources. Access to these resources must be made as transparent as possible so that the end users are not burdened with the minutiae of the process.
The time of day when our sky collides with the solar winds from space is known as sunset. Swirls of blue, pink, and purple spin and twist in the background. The moon races to take its place in prominence atop the night sky while the sun goes slowly to conceal behind the line of horizon. People move at a snail's pace, completely oblivious to the tasks that remain to be completed.
In order to determine which textbooks to purchase, see your course descriptions. You should contact the topic coordinator if you don't have one or if you need one sooner than the first lecture for any specific subject.
Nuclear fuel cycle procedures include the recycling of spent nuclear fuels. From a cost and waste reduction perspective, traditional reprocessing of nuclear fuel suffers from various problems.
On 2 January 1959, the Soviets launched Lunarite, their first lunar probe. Tracking data was obtained for SpaceTrack by the Goldstone site of the California Institute of Technology, which verified that the probe had headed for the Moon. Dr. Curtis used a plot of this data in a presentation to a committee of the U.S. House of Representatives.
The Earth has experienced its warmest month ever recorded, and it's getting worse. The new high comes after a string of scorching months. For the 10th month in a row now, the month has been the warmest ever recorded by NASA, breaking the previous record set a year ago. Temperatures are calculated significantly differently by the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. Initially, the Commission thought it would be preferable to investigate the entire notion of domicile, especially because dependent residence occurs in the case of minors, children under the age of majority, and mentally ill adults, as well as married women. The Commission was right.
How would you feel about spending months on the road traveling solo from the UK to China, by bike? For British cyclist Pete Jones, camping rough and cycling long distances through inhospitable terrain are second nature. Mr. Jones is currently undertaking a mammoth trip across the Eurasian continent from Britain to China. It's no longer only about taking part in democratic procedures like elections. Online speech has become an important aspect of how we conduct our democratic lives on a daily basis through digital communication. We need to look at how we might bring nuance to our understanding of these kinds of online encounters if they are so prevalent.
Because it occurs in every state and claims the lives of more people each year than hurricanes, tornadoes, and lightning combined, flooding is already the most prevalent natural catastrophe in the U.S. As sea levels rise and hurricanes get stronger, more people will have to contend with floods as a result of global warming. Because of a number of historical factors, the South refused to recognize Lincoln as their president. Because of their desire for greater independence from the North, Southerners fought to defend their constitutional rights. They thought the electoral process was unfair. They also feared that their own rights would be overlooked or restricted. As a result of this, the Southern states were split apart and the Civil War was sparked.
It's a sweet spot for commercial satellite imagery, strong enough to see a car, but not powerful enough to identify the brand or model, gathered regularly enough for a farmer to keep an eye on crops' health, but not so frequently that people can follow the movements of their neighbors. Commercial satellite photographs must be limited to the length of a shoe in order to comply with federal laws.
While advances in agricultural science have always been critical to ensuring we help feed the world, its impact and importance is even greater now, as population grows at a rapid rate and the availability of arable land steadily declines. Science and technology solutions are essential to meeting growing demand for food, maintaining market competitiveness and adapting to and mitigating risks. In order to express their displeasure with a particular television show, parents might discourage their children from viewing it and write letters to the network or the show's sponsors. There is a way for the general population to be heard. Obviously, not all programs need to be loved by all people. Programs are available, and we may choose to watch or not watch, for ourselves as well as for our younger children. Every television has a off button. Overthinking is what creates problems from nothing and is probably the leading cause for arguments between two people. Many people falsely believe that by overthinking certain things, they can garner a better result. There are actually little to no benefits to overanalyzing any given situation. The more time a person analyzes a decision, the more time this person makes themselves susceptible to negative thinking.
The impact of civil conflicts on animals in conflict-ridden nations has been carefully documented in a new research. Civil conflicts have an indirect effect on local animals, rather than a direct military influence, researchers discovered.
Mobile robots will gather trash items from the seabed using grippers, hooks or suction devices, depending on the kind of litter. The floating platform has 8 cables that are connected to the mobile robots. Adjusting the tension of the cables may be used to regulate the robot's orientation.
First-time scientists have connected dike development to huge destructive earthquakes. Warthier is searching back in history for further examples. It's impossible to anticipate exactly when an earthquake will occur following a dike incursion, she claims. In any event, researchers and those who live in the rift zone now have a better idea of what to expect.